Back from Shanghai. I got a little sick from the pollution. So I'm Marshall. I run a company called Final Hash, CTO Cripsy also. But really glad Sven went first. A lot of his estimates were actually really close to being accurate. The numbers I'll be showing here are from, I would say, a nice average medium from all the professional miners. Some of the people have higher costs, some people have lower. I think those are pretty good estimates here from true costs. So we're talking a little bit more about why fees are very soon going to be very important. So let's just jump into it. So we'll talk a little bit about what happens without fees, talk about why Bitcoin really isn't free, but how we can do cool things like microtransactions later, real microtransactions. We'll talk about the cost and talk about some other solutions. So without fees, everybody knows there's a lack of security. However, miners aren't, even today, and I'll go on to show why fees are really negligible for us. Even at 10x what the current fees are, still we don't care. It's not paying our bills. We'll kind of dig into some more numbers here in a little bit. Fees at this point in time, even if they're at 10x, getting close to even at 100x, they're not cutting it. And as these block halvings continue to go down and down and down, we get into a really scary place where, let's say at the next block halving, half the hash rate pulls off, and now we're, instead of a 2-week difficulty adjustment, we're looking at a 6-week difficulty adjustment. It kind of gets really bad at that point because fees just aren't an incentive. Everybody says fees are, they're not. When you've got a $100,000 electric bill a month, $20 is nothing. So we need to figure out something, because as the halvings continue to go down and down, if fees don't go up and up, we can get to a kind of a scary situation. So this was from a white paper that Danielle Pinna did. That was off of Peter R's paper, so I apologize if, Peter, this was your original equation, but I took it from her paper. So basically this equation kind of outlines the revenue model, where it takes into account propagation time, orphan rates, which was talked a little bit about yesterday. And this I found to be almost exactly spot on with my mining costs, also a lot of my colleagues' mining costs that I reached out to. So yeah, again, Peter, sorry, walking in. If this is your equation, apologies. So what you'll see in this equation is that, as everybody knows, as block time or block size goes up, propagation time can get kind of wanky, and then you get into this orphan rate. So it takes into account orphan rate. And so we'll just kind of dig into some of the costs that we actually see, and then you guys will start to see why this is going to be getting pretty important. So this is some charts that are based off of the current generation gear. This will be changing in the next couple of months. There's about 4 chips coming out, which will effectively double these numbers. But as you can see, the top axis, that is size of capacity in megawatts. On the left side, that is monthly revenue. So, and these are true numbers, and then there's 3 based on the price of power that you're paying. In this, there's factored in labor cost, there's factored in hardware amortization costs, build-out costs, a few other things like that. So as you can see here, even at 3 cents, you're not really going to be profitable right off the bat, because yes, gear is getting cheaper, but it's electricity costs is expensive, labor, all this stuff. So even if you're at 5 megawatts right now, you're almost just at break even. Now going forward, this gets a little bit better with the next generation of gear. As Finn was saying, the actual chips that are coming out, they're going to be around 0.2 watts per gigahash, most of them. Some of the stuff Sam is doing, his stuff's a little bit better. But this is kind of like a nice average. So it gets a little bit better, but we're coming to a technology cliff very quickly. Going down in node size, it helps, but there's not much more room to go down. So getting really close to some Moore's Law issues. But this is kind of the scary part, because these miners are coming out now. Most of them be released in October. And even at these costs here, these are based off of real numbers. My data sets will be online. You guys can pull them down, tweak them if you'd like. You start to see this kind of graph where it really depends on your power cost. even if your power cost is almost free. At 3 cents, it's pretty much almost free. So now what my company has had to do is make strategic partnerships with governments and co-location providers that will give us effectively free power in exchange for revenue share. Because if you don't, you can't pay your bills. And this becomes why I feel there is a need for a fee market, because if we don't figure it out before next summer, these numbers just get even worse, because these numbers are all based off 25 Bitcoins per block. So there's going to be a discussion on a roundtable I'll be doing after lunch. We're going to get into that. It's going to be about China relations, these kind of things. But these graphs are from real hard numbers, and they can only be fixed, I think, with a multitude of solutions. So like Lightning Network, that would be profitable for us. Increased fees, but everybody needs to understand that Bitcoin is not free right now. But there are some cool things that we can do going on. So block size, okay, everybody wants to talk about it, whatever. It's got diminishing returns because at the very first part, you'll get a lot of fees, and as the block size gets bigger, that's not really a long-term solution. One thing that we think is kind of exciting, a lot of my friends would really disagree with in the community for core dev, is this thing where pools can share a mempool, basically where you can push transactions and then pay a monthly fee for free transactions. Now that's nice for us because we have a predictable revenue model going forward. It does have some centralization problems, but we're always open to solutions there, where now you can do zero transaction fees on the blockchain, pay a monthly fee at the end of it. There are some contractual issues there. I think Peter Todd's losing his mind right now. But going forward, we can also have some special fee structures. So there are solutions to be had. We're open to most of them. That's pretty much where we've got. So hopefully this one and the Hong Kong one, there'll be more miners at the Hong Kong one. We can try to figure something out, because next summer it's going to get really real, really quickly. So that's what I've got to say. If you got any questions, you guys can hit me in the hall sometime. Thanks.